always from the heart of the city, and now on demand 24/7 on the CHFI website. This is the soundtrack to a face. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers around the world on the internet. Irving Layton said, like all people who sit for their portrait, I have the feeling that all the complexity that goes into the making of my personality doesn't get included in the arrangement of paint. I've often observed the sitter's dissatisfaction with his portrait, even though it appears so excellently real to others. I suppose that is because each person knows himself for being the multitudes he really is behind the skin of his face, and smiles to himself to think that any artist can hope to portray them in any single canvas. Unquote. The words of Irving Layton. I've just seen a face. The face of Lovers and Other Strangers. From CHFI.com. Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. David Archuleta and Crush. Deborah Cox, Beautiful You Are, and Joe Cocker, and You Are So Beautiful. Oscar Wilde wrote something called The Disciple. When Narcissus died, the pool of his pleasure changed from a cup of sweet waters into a cup of salt tears. And the Oreads came weeping through the woodland, that they might sing to the pool and give it comfort. And when they saw that the pool had changed from a cup of sweet waters into a cup of salt tears, they loosened the green tresses of their hair and cried to the pool and said, We do not wonder that you should mourn in this manner for Narcissus. So beautiful was he. But was Narcissus beautiful? Said the pool. Who should know that better than you? Answered the Oreads. Us did he ever pass by, but you he sought for, and would lie on your banks, and look down at you, and in the mirror of your waters he would mirror his own beauty. And the pool answered, But I loved Narcissus, because as he lay on my banks and looked down at me in the mirror of his eyes, I saw my own beauty mirrored. Lovers and Other Strangers from CHFI.com. Lovers and Other Strangers from CHFI.com and iTunes. Bryan Adams and You're Still Beautiful to Me, and RyanDan with The Face. British writer Sheila Pickles, in The Language of Flowers, published by Harmony Books in New York, wrote, There, in the water, he saw another face rise up to meet his own as he leant over. He plunged his arms into the water without success to catch the lovely spirit who dwelt there. He sang out to the beautiful creature, but the only answer was the faint, sad echo from the distant mountains. Finally, he began to pine and fade, just as Echo had done in her turn, with the sad hopelessness of unrequited love. The gods, not always cold-hearted beings, took pity on this self-centered boy and turned him into the flower that now bears his name, and that, as legend has it, still grows every year by the banks of that very same pool. You will have no problems finding this pool because of the flower. It is the one that droops over the surface, that it might better see its own beauty mirrored in the water. Lovers and Other Strangers from CHFI.com. Harry Connick Jr. from Sleepless in Seattle, Where or When. James Blunt, You're Beautiful, and Christina Aguilera, Beautiful as well. Lovers and Other Strangers from CHFI.com and iTunes. Amy M. Spindler in the New York Times Magazine wrote, "The clothes we select for ourselves are a better indicator of who we think we are than our faces or our bodies, which we didn't choose. Clothes are our one chance to right whatever physical wrongs God has imposed on us. They can be a mirror of what's inside, a veneer of camouflage, or a map of your aspirations." This is a poem by Carl Sandburg called Under a Hat Rim, originally published in the 1916 collection Chicago Poems by Henry Holt. While the hum and the hurry of passing footfalls beat in my ear like the restless surf of a wind-blown sea, a soul came to me out of the look on a face. Eyes like a lake where a storm wind roams caught me from under the rim of a hat. I thought of a mid-sea wreck and bruised fingers clinging to a broken stateroom door. The words of Carl Sandburg. You never know what you're likely to glimpse in a crowded street when someone peers up at you from under a hat rim. Lovers and Other Strangers from CHFI.com. Lovers and Other Strangers from CHFI.com and iTunes. Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On, and Vanessa Carlton, and A Journey of 1,000 Miles. This is another poem by the late Carl Sandburg called Passers-By. Passers-by. Out of your many faces, flash memories to me now, at the day end, away from the sidewalks where your shoe soles traveled, and your voices rose and blent to form the city's afternoon roar, hindering an old silence. Passers-by. I remember lean ones among you, throats in the clutch of a hope, lips written over with strivings, mouths that kiss only for love, records of great wishes slept with, held long and prayed and toiled for. Yes, written on your mouths and your throats. I read them when you passed by. Lovers and Other Strangers from CHFI.com. You can post your comments in my blog, Lovers and Other Strangers from CHFI.com. Blue Rodeo with 5 Days in May and the Beatles, and I've just seen a face. Françoise Giroux with Bernard-Henri Lévy in Women and Men, published by Little Brown, wrote, You can domesticate your body, but you can't domesticate your face, even by having a lift. A face bears the reflection of our nature, which in the beginning is veiled by the attractiveness of youth. But as soon as youth begins to go, everything written on the face starts to come to the surface. And pretty soon, it's engraved there. No landscape can equal a human face that's been molded by its own character. Unquote. Françoise Giroux, with Bernard-Henri Lévy in Women and Men, published by Little Brown. Lovers and Other Strangers, from CHFI.com. Good night, sweet dreams. I'm Don Jackson.